Welcome to Breaking Business Barriers, episode number, Jared, is it 74? I think you had to remind me, man. Episode number 74. I'm so excited. I've asked virtually almost no questions. JT, he invited our guests. He knows them well. His bride really knows them, and this has been a secret up until this point. So I'm excited to have them on Breaking Business Barriers. And this is your host, Brent Duhaime, along with JT, the famous co-host. JT, you want to introduce our guests?
Hey guys, so I've been a big fan of you for a while, Mayor George Fuller and Maylee and the Mayor, as you guys are known in your musical.
Or the Mayor and Maylee. We're working that out.
It's not getting very many votes. Everybody likes Maylee and the Mayor much better.
But we're just keep an open mind. But go ahead.
Depending on who you ask, huh?
Yeah.
So very nice. Well, yeah, I'm really excited to have you guys on. I realize you have very busy schedules, and just appreciate you taking time out for this. So I want to start with a compliment to you, Mayor Fuller. I've heard people ask a few times, they'll say, remind me, is he a Republican or a Democrat? And I think that's a compliment, because in today's day and age, it's just so easy to spot, what political party someone's in based on their positions on issues. And it's just so refreshing to, see someone who is convicted enough in the issues that they speak about, to where people don't automatically know. They have to actually ask that question. So
yeah, and I appreciate hearing that, because I was about to say I work hard at that, and that's actually not true. I don't have to work hard at it. It is who I am at my core. But I do try to make sure that when I was campaigning, even people would ask me at their door. I'd knock on a door and they'd say, "Are you Republican or Democrat?" And I'd say, "Sir or ma'am, I'm running for mayor. It's a nonpartisan position." "Yeah, but I want to know if you're a Republican or Democrat." So, well, I'm going to hope that you make your decision based on my stance on issues. And I'm sorry, I'm not going to discuss politics. I'm running to serve a city. And my only concern back to you is not whether you're Republican or Democrat. Do you live in McKinney? So, and I'd have some doors shut in my face, and others say that was refreshing, and others again shut in my face. So.
Well, it's very refreshing to me, because, as we know, this is a very divisive time, and we need people who pull people together, and I think you've done a great job of that. So thank you.
Well, thank you,
Brent. I think you've got some questions here as well.
I do. You know what? I sit back and I hear that, and that is fantastic, because so many people want to identify with a party. And when in fact, it's the issues, right? It's not the party that dictates the issues. And I find that so refreshing. In fact, by golly, I think we're probably going to have some comments on that one right there that are entirely positive. It's addressing the issues. And again, some more simple than others, are more difficult, but hey, let's get rolling. So why don't you just tell us a little bit about you guys, right? You guys you've got this whole box that's ginormous, and it's pretty cool. So if you just take a couple of minutes and share us your stories.
Yeah, I'll let Maylee start. Beauty before younger.
Well, we'll do age before beauty. How about that?
Age.
And I still get to start, because I'm a lot older than him.
You get both age and beauty before me.
Well, she's definitely got the best hat on the show today.
She does.
Well, I appreciate you wearing a hat as well. I'm a big hat person. Well, George and I met through music, and we met. Actually, we're going on 30 years this year of playing music together. And I hired him to be in my band 30 years ago, and he basically, being the kind of person that he is, and this is a compliment, he came in and he whipped us into a better place. But we ended up, after a little romance, we were friends for about 6 months, and then we started dating, and from there we just began this whole journey of all kinds of things together. But George was he owned a recording studio at the time, and he was buying and flipping houses. And I might say, I might add, he was doing the work himself, a lot of it. So he grew up in a family of builders, and so he's just the kind of guy that gets in there and gets things done. And that was one of the big things I admired about him. I had this actual conversation with our daughter today. So it's funny that we're having this podcast and you asked me about him, because she wanted to know how he got started. And I told her, I said, your dad's one of those kind of guys that if he sees something he's interested in or something he wants to do, he immerses himself into it, finds out how to do it, and he does it with, such grace, and it's so polished and so great. And that's pretty much how we've been.
I was going to brag on myself so much more, but since she talked about me, I guess I don't get to do that. I'll talk about her. Mei Li is, anyone that knows Mei Li is all heart and grace, and spends her life. We have a foundation together, but she's certainly really the force behind it, Love Life Foundation. And it's not just the name of a foundation. It is how she lives life, but more importantly, it's how she's committed to make sure that others love life. And so all the years that I've known Mei Li, that's been the single, biggest driver in her existence is how do we help others love life? And next to that, of course, she's a fantastic singer, as anyone that's ever heard her sing knows, and fantastic mother, and she's an okay wife. Could serve weight on me a little bit more. Don't want to throw darts right now, but no, we actually have a great relationship that started in music and still lives in music while we do 100 other things every day.
So go-givers. All right, JT, we got a pair of go-givers here that I'm not sure I could keep up with for an hour in a day, let alone a day. But where can our listeners find you? Is there a particular a piece of social media that they can say, hey, we want to get to know them better, especially the music stuff? That's all cool. Everyone can share that, or others, builder, otherwise.
Yeah. So on Facebook, it's Mayor George Fuller. It's we have also a Mei Li and the Mayor page. We have Mei Li Thomas Band, Mei Li Thomas. For those who don't know, Mei Li Thomas is Thomas, of course, is her maiden name, and the band was built around that name. So that's the name she goes by. Though since I got elected mayor, periodically I hear her throw in Fuller at the end of that. So, we'll see if that sticks after I'm no longer mayor. But Facebook we have a presence throughout, of course, Facebook, and then our page is the Mei Li Thomas Band. But Mei Li and
Meili.com is our music page.
We'll make sure that we'll make sure that we notate that on the write-up so people can find you easily. And that'll be really cool. I did my share of stalking, and it was, I went to peppers. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I see peppers. That.
I grow those, by the way. But
ooh, I love those.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm all about the hot sauce. But hey, is there, again, you guys got such a wide spread, and this is, I think, the first time that we've had a government official on Breaking Business Barriers. So that's pretty cool. And
well, there's businesses too. I can tell you real quick. If you like kind of our business side of things, and that is so we own the Guitar Sanctuary, which is a guitar and amp pedal boutique shop. It was named one of the top 10 coolest guitar shops in the country by I think it was by Music Magazine. I've got a construction company for the last 30 years, George C. Fuller Contracting Company. We have the Performing Arts Center, which is our Performing Arts School, which we've got about 300 students. And of course, I'm talking pre-COVID numbers. And we're working through all of that virtual side of things now. And we also have an event center, and we do concerts and wedding venues and that type of thing. And then the foundation, and then the band. So we have the Mei Li Thomas Band, the Love Life Foundation, the George C. Fuller Contracting Company, George C. Fuller Custom Homes, the Sanctuary Music and Event Center, Guitar Sanctuary, and the Sanctuary Performance Academy. So we, just a few things we do.
And then I also have a podcast. and a radio show.
Yes.
Yeah.
How awesome is
Homegrown
that?
music.
Te-
Texas
Texas
homegrown.
homegrown music, and I interview Texas artists all over the state. And so I'm very, you know, and I'm going on 2 years, so same as you.
How awesome! How cool is that? I don't even know what to ask, for God's sakes. I mean, you guys like got it all covered. You're great artists, business people, happy family, which is pretty cool. That's awesome. Great.
Yeah, we
hat.
have 4 kids and 2 grandchildren. Too.
Yeah, and 2 of the kids are really good.
No, they're all very good.
You have 4 kids, and you 2 know which good ones you are.
No.
I'm lucky to have
loving-
2. I'm lucky to have 2 good ones as well. My wife would probably say I'm the outcaster when it comes to the family, but you know, so be it. She's a New Yorker, Italian New Yorker. Hey, I do have a question for you. You guys covered a lot of stuff. Two things, JT. Not to take this. You and I talked a little bit about this earlier on. What's on your bucket list? You guys have done so many cool things, but is there something together, you as a family, maybe that, or individually, that could be on a bucket list that you haven't filled yet?
Yeah, so on my bucket list is having no job, but I don't want that to be confused with death. So I'm looking forward to not having 6 careers at the same time. You know, what is on our bucket list? Do we have a bucket list?
You know, the reality is, and I heard George say having no job. That, you know, George talks about how he was attracted to the fact that I like to help people and that my, you know, life was about that. George is the same way, and he's never going to not work. This, you know, I don't like the word workaholic because I think that has kind of a negative connotation, but George just likes to get things done. He likes to do things. I mean, even when we go on a vacation, you know, he's the kind of guy that's got several things on the list. And we go to New York and we walk, I don't even know what
7.5 miles. No, I'm sorry,
No.
20.
We walked 27
7
miles
miles, yeah.
in 3 days when we went to New York last time. That's
3.5 days, but yes.
Yeah, 3.5 days. And that's because George is one of those kind of guys that he just likes to see things and do things and take things in and be a part of life. And so he's never going to not work. And I know this, watching him thrive in the position of mayor. And by the way, when I met him, you see how long my hair is, right? George's hair was longer than this.
Nice.
And so he was a rock and roll hippie guy when I met him. And but he was a worker and successful in so many things. And now, as I've seen him thrive in this position of mayor, I'm kind of thinking that he's kind of he's in a zone that he's really, really good at. And what I love about it is he is there to bring people together in such a divisive time. And we just don't have enough people like that in politics. And probably because the good people don't want to be a part of this divisive world. So I don't know what is on your bucket list, but I know that
President.
he's
I'll go ahead and say it.
he's going to
2024.
run for mayor again next year. I know
President
that.
2024.
Oh, that's not on my bucket list.
Not quite.
Well, you know what's
I
truly
might have to kick the bucket.
what's
for you
truly
to do
exciting
that.
about that is an evolution, right? You went from, I wish I had long hair, you know, I wish I had more hair, let alone just long hair, but it's an evolution, and the bucket lists, and they can be as simple as can be, they can be as major, but between the two of you putting those buckets together and working. Hey, JT, do you have a question maybe regarding risk taking?
You know, I was going to ask George just what it's been like, you know, leading, you know, during this time. So it's like no matter what you say, you're going to fit. You know. People
Oh yeah. Oh, I've proven that. I've proven it.
And that wasn't directed at you. That was directed at the Times.
Yeah.
But you know, a mask offends certain people, and not having a mask offends certain people. So, what's it like being in a position where you're expected to take a group of people and actually give them direction, you know, when everybody's, you know, just fighting so much?
Yeah. And you know, in the fighting, and I won't get into, I won't turn this political at all, but as political as I'll take it is that, you know, I believe this whole country has gotten to where as a human race, human beings, we like to identify with groups. We like to be part of something. And unfortunately, in my mind, it's very unfortunate that what has risen to the top of groups to belong to are political groups, because with that becomes this, when you're in a group, to thrive in a group, you've got to have something that you're trying to achieve. And of course, in politics, you're beating the other side, and that turns into just a divisive behavior and an offensive behavior and a defensive behavior. And so it's really, really, I find it so saddening for us as a country that we have gotten to that place. And when we talk about masks or so many of the things, I mean, masks, the racial discussions that are being had right now, some of those we experienced early on in McKinney from some of the events that took place when I first got elected. To our pandemic, and people are jumping on political sides. And so for me, I guess my short answer, it's been a long answer, is I truly put all of that out of my head. I don't, the last thing I don't know that I don't think I've ever, unless maybe out of morbid curiosity, thought about a decision I was making, how it was going to be taken by a political party, one or the other. But it's all about what's the science telling me. And I know everyone can point to a million different sciences to look at, but I take my cues from the best sources I can, and it's about health of the community and health of our economy. And when I was on a call with the governor's office a week and a half ago, he made it crystal clear. We're about to close more businesses. We're about to shut down the economy if we don't change these numbers. And you have one tool out there, mayors and county judges, you have one tool, and that's masks, social distancing, and hand washing. I lump all those together. And are you going to use it, or are you going to not? So for me, there's no question that we're going to use that tool, and because we want to do everything we can to preserve health and economy. So, but yeah, I've taken a lot of heat, and man, it's crazy. I can make one decision today that the Democrats, think I'm just the worst thing ever, and tomorrow the conservatives think I'm the worst thing ever. So I truly, I say this, I mean it with all my heart, I truly could care less on the political spectrum what any party thinks of me. What I care about is, are we advancing our community for the better?
Hey, can we do a virtual hug? Seriously, I mean, can we do like a virtual hug on that one? That's so refreshing to hear. Someone in a leadership role of a major city, in McKinney, Texas, which those of you that don't know where that is, North Texas, it's no little podunk town like where I grew up in Elk Point, South Dakota, by any stretch of the imagination. So
I love the name of that town, though.
It's a cool place. I'll bring you back there. We do some pheasant hunting. We do whatever we want. But but no, that in all seriousness, it's refreshing and a difficult job. So tip of the hat to you and others that are doing the right things the best that you can with the information that's supplied.
Yeah, exactly. And at the end of the day, it's all we can do is take the information we have on hand and make the best decision with that information. And certainly, as we've seen, that information changes, from month to month, week to week, day to day, sometimes hour to hour. And we just have to be nimble and make decisions based on what information we have.
From the best minds and scientists and doctors in the world, mind you. Yep. So I'll remind everyone, because this will be heard at a later date down the road, as well as here real soon. But the world has been fighting a pandemic, and we're talking to, we've been talking to folks, and this comes up from time to time. Certainly, I mean, it's top of mind every day that we wake up and we go to bed, and it's tough. But to hear someone that's leading a city, let alone other cool stuff that y'all do, which is so much fun. I can't wait to see a concert live. Can you imagine that?
It's
no masks.
We have fun. We have absolute fun playing music.
Oh yeah, for sure. Hey, we always ask, JT and I always ask, do you have some advice for, and again, we have a lot of high school, we have a lot of college kids, younger population. They're looking, they're thinking, right? They're navigating through life. Do you have some advice for them?
Boy, maybe I'll let you.
Well, I think that probably one of the best things going for them right now is if they're listening to a podcast and they're trying to fill their minds with, current events and people that are actually out there doing some of these things that they're striving to do. It's always great to glean from their mistakes or from their, successes. And that in itself, I think, is a big plus because I think the best thing that we can do is be engaged. And I know that George and I are big proponents of seeing these younger kids get engaged because George will tell you, I'm going to steal his little line here, our generation has kind of messed it up a little bit.
You're stealing my line.
We've laid a foundation of divisiveness that we can't really backtrack from. And there's a lot of people that they've just gotten so hard into their lives and their opinions that they're not open to understanding what it is that the world's trying to say right now. But my children's generation has a chance of changing all that.
Yeah.
And I think it's being open-minded to hear and listen. And it doesn't mean that you agree, but it means that you're listening and understanding that their feelings are real to them. And we all have a bias. There's just no way you're going to go through life and not have some kind of a bias. But if we can get these kids engaged before it gets before it's just so entrenched in them that they're not able to see the other side and embrace that there's some changes that we need to make everybody feel a part of this big world. I just don't know how we ended up on Earth feeling like there's us and them. In so many different situations and so many things that we go through in life. I think it's just so sad. It should just be us. It should be all about us. And this pandemic has really opened my eyes to the fact that we are all facing this, and the whole world is facing this pandemic. And for our country to kind of make it a Republican and Democrat issue is it's just mind-boggling to me. That we've taken something and tried to make it a divisive political issue when it's not. We're talking about a pandemic that's affected the whole wide world.
So coming together is a great piece of advice, as well as working together.
Be engaged.
Right?
Be engaged on a local level.
I grew up. My father was a fantastic father, and one of the things my father always just drilled into me is, George, before you enter a discussion, before you have an argument, before you take a position, understand and be able to discuss or argue, not that it was about arguing, but both sides. It's kind of like the other day in council, right now with everything going on with all the racial tension and racial discussions and the Black Lives Matter movement and statues and all things Confederate in many areas being torn down and vandalized and all these things there are discussions that are on the forefront of everyone's mind. They need to be had. And we have a statue in McKinney, Texas. And so it was being discussed. And of course, depends on who you talk to. That statue is a symbol of the Confederate Army and something that was a reminder of quashed civil liberties. Or if you talk to somebody else, it's a founding father of the city that has nothing to do with anything but statesmanship, business, politics, whatnot. So we had different groups of people and very passionately and just passionately yelling at each other, past each other. And I can assure you that nobody left that room hearing any opposing view. They cheered and clapped for a like view, and they did not hear a single word of the opposing view. And that's on both sides. So what I would encourage people to do and young people to do is, I think we've gotten really bad at listening. And we've gotten, and for a lot of reasons, social media and the quick type response back and all the stuff that goes along with that. Then, of course, the communication that happens without inflection or any emotion or anything other than just words that can be interpreted, depending on how you're feeling. What young people need to do is learn how to listen and really listen and try to understand. And at the end of the day, I have no problem disagreeing with somebody, especially when I can understand what their position is. I may not agree with it, but if I can understand it, then I can move forward much better than if I just never understand it. So listen, and when you think you've listened enough, listen some more.
Yeah, George always told our kids, and it goes for me as well. He said, you know, when you're in a conversation or when someone's trying to give you their side, don't try to think of what your next response is going to be. Truly listen to what they're saying.
Try to be able to say it back. If you can't say back to them what they just said in a way that you understand it, then you have failed. You have failed in the discussion. You failed in the communication. And you may win that argument. You may beat someone into submission. But what you will have is somebody that didn't understand, doesn't understand, and will leave just feeling like they were bullied or they were beaten into submission, but they weren't heard. And if you don't have people feeling heard and understood, then you know, you will only be a leader for a very short period of time before people say enough of that guy.
And be willing.
That's a knockout right there. That is absolutely amazing, and we're going to capture that piece. And JT, we'll also get some of this out in text. I really believe right there, some of the best stuff that we've heard in episode number 74, leadership quotes and other things. I mean, hats off to you. I know we promised not to take up all your day. You're busy.
No,
you only have like 8 million things going on at one time. The juggling act's going crazy. I know JT's busy with real estate and what have you. But as we begin to wrap this up, thank you so much for spending some time with us. It was a privilege for me to get to know you. And I can't wait to get to know you better, because that's part of what we do at Breaking Business Barriers is really embrace, you know, people's stories. And that was some of the best advice I've heard, not taken away from any other advice that we've heard on the previous 73, but that was amazing. And so, hey, JT, let's get ready to wrap this. On behalf of Jared Tye, Brent Duhaime, I forgot to mention our sponsors before, Expanse Financial Group, Open Media Source, who does our platform stuff for us, as well as there's a little insurance crew that American Option Insurance. But you guys have been amazing. Appreciate the leadership. And hopefully everyone has a chance to visit you and check it out. And I dug all the whole music thing. Again, I have no musical skills whatsoever. So I have fans.
You have some ears, you can listen.
I just listen. You know, I listen. I appreciate good music. You know, my wife and kids are really good at it. I can't draw a stick person with a ruler, let alone play a piano or a guitar or drums. So, hey, with that, guys, I really appreciate you. And thank you so much for joining Breaking Business Barriers. And as we finish it, it is always onward and upward.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate the opportunity.